So we're going to read this and hope we will get some ideas on how to read and translate Latin sentences that will help you as you continue on. Cole, would you read the first paragraph at the bottom of page 39?
I will. Like any language...
Is it hurting your throat?
No, it sounds weird.
Okay.
Like any language, Latin seeks to be understood, and its aim is most often toward clarity. A sentence of Latin prose is not a puzzle to be figured out, and not an ill-arranged version of English in a foreign tongue, although it is rarely the same as the order of an English sentence with equivalent meaning. The word of a Latin sentence is important and joins the words themselves to convey the writer's precise meaning. The same may be said of English, but because English words have far fewer inflectional endings than Latin words, fewer orders are available for conveying a particular meaning. In the sentence, the girl loves the boy, girl is understood as the subject of the verb because it appears before the verb, and boy is understood as the direct object because it appears after the verb.
So that's how it works in English. We know what the subject is because the subject comes before the verb. We know what the direct object is because it comes after the verb. But that's not the way it's going to be in Latin, because the word order, while important, is not what defines what the subject is and what the direct object is. What do you have to pay most attention to as you're reading a Latin sentence? What's the most important thing to help you figure out what the Latin sentence says?
The endings.
The endings, and what do the endings tell you?
What case it's in?
What case it's in. And then what case it's in tells us what?
What it means?
Well, what role it plays in the sentence. Like, is it the subject, is it the direct object? Seth, would you read?
Yes. A greater degree of inflection of its nouns in verbs allows Latin a more flexible word order than is possible in English. The same sentence, the girl loves the boy, theoretically could be written in Latin in 6 different orders. The 3 words puella, puerum, and amat could appear in any order. And basic syntax and meaning would be clear from the particular inflectional ending on every word.
Keep reading.
Meaning may thus be conveyed by a variety of orders, but the determining factor in the order of a Latin sentence are emphasis, balance, and economy.
Okay, so go ahead and tell us about emphasis.
The 2 most important places in a Latin sentence are the beginning first word and the end last word. If no special emphasis is given to any element of the sentence, the subject and the verb, the most important syntactic elements of the sentence normally occupy these positions, the subject first and the verb last.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So in a Latin sentence, while order is not the primary thing that tells you what's going on in the sentence, order is important. And to a Roman, to a speaker of Latin, the first word in the sentence and the last word in the sentence were important. And so there's heavier emphasis on those words. So in most sentences, and most everyday sentences, your most important words are your subject and your verb. Who's doing it and what are they doing? And so typically, in your average everyday Latin sentence, your subject will be the first word and your verb will be the last word. But that's not a rule, it's just that's how it often works out. Okay, go ahead, Seth. The other elements of the sentence.
Sorry. The other elements of a sentence, for example, the direct object, indirect object, prepositional phrases, appear between the subject and the verb. The unemphatic Latin word order may be called neutral because, although it contains 2 important positions, first and last, no special emphasis is placed on the words that occupy these positions. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read these examples, and so I want you to be looking on page 40, and we'll talk about these examples. The first example is Regina nautis dona dat. Okay, and in that example, the subject is the first word. How do we know that Regina is the subject?
Because it's a nominative.
Because it's in the nominative case, and the verb is last, dot. And we know that that makes sense for that to be the verb, because Regina is a third person noun. It's a she, and so dot, the T ending, is what we'd expect. And so the queen gives. Now, does the queen give gifts to the sailors or sailors to the gifts?
Gifts to the sailors.
And how do we know that?
Because it doesn't make sense for it to give sailors to the gifts.
It doesn't, but how else do we know it?
Because now cases, I don't know.
Is the order of the sentence?
Well, not just that. That's not the main important thing. How do we know what's being given And who's getting
Oh,
it?
because
The
it's known as an
emphasis?
agenitive.
Not
No.
The emphasis is on something?
It's the case. And what cases are these words? Because remember I said that's the most important thing. And we said the most important thing are the endings, which tell us the case, which tell us the role in the sentence. So now tis, that is ending, what case can that be?
Dative or adjective?
Dative or ablative plural. Now whenever we have the verb dot to give, expect a dative. Because you're usually when you give something, you're giving it to somebody. Somebody's receiving it. So it's the indirect object. So the sailors are receiving it. Now donut is accusative. How is the a ending accusative? What kind of nouns have it?
Neuter.
Neuter and singular or plural?
Plural.
Plural. That's the plural accusative ending. And that's a neutral word order because Regina is the subject, it comes first, dot is the verb, and it comes last. Now let's look at this next sentence. Dona, Regina, nautis, dot. Now just looking at that sentence, until we read the whole sentence, we might think that Dona is the subject. Because Dona, we said it was accusative, but it could be nominative, it could be nominative plural. How do I know, even without looking at Regina and we're seeing that Regina is nominative, how do I know that Dona, a neuter plural noun, cannot be the subject of this sentence?
Because it's not the nominative?
It could be nominative.
Oh, it could be?
It's not,
Oh.
but it could be. That A ending could be nominative. How do I know it is not the subject? A brownie point for the first person who can tell me why. Cole?
Because it is emphasized.
No,
Because dot is emphasized?
not because dot is emphasized. That's not why. Yes?
Because it doesn't have a long marker.
Nope. Yes?
Because it's a verb.
No? Yes?
It's plural.
Okay, and what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, I don't know. Like she can't-
You are so on the right track, but you don't get a brownie point for it until you can tell me how that helps me.
Because nominative plural, because nominative in the plural is not a.
It is if it's neuter, and donum is neuter. Donum, dona, and let's forget about the other words for right now, dot. And I'm saying, given this information, I know dona cannot be the subject of the sentence.
Because you give
Oh,
something
'cause-
giving something.
Because dot is in plural as well.
Because this isn't plural, this is singular.
So if both are plural, both have to be plural for the subject to be plural.
That's
and that's
right.
that's plural and that's not.
I mean, gifts could be giving. I could say the gifts are giving me joy. I could say that. The gifts give me joy. But in that case, this would have to be dant, D-A-N-T. But it's not. It's dot. Now, I know this has to be plural. I know it has to be plural because it's neuter, second declension. And for neuter, and I know that just because I have this word memorized. I know that the word is donum, doni, and it's neuter. So I know it's neuter because I have it memorized. I know it's second declension because the genitive ending is the letter I. And for neuter second declension, if I look at all of my endings, e, o, o, a, orum, is, is. I see for neuter second declension, my two possibilities that end in a are nominative plural and accusative plural. So without anything else, dona could be nominative plural or it could be accusative plural. But given this verb, I know it has to be accusative plural because it can't be the subject. Okay, now if I also throw in there Regina, well now I really know because Regina as a first declension noun, the only thing that can be is nominative or vocative.
I totally don't get a brownie point, do I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think you got the answer, didn't you?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you gave like huge hint.
I did give huge hint, but no one else got it, so you can
There's
have,
a lot.
you can have half a brownie. Aren't you like the half brownie point winner? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a whole brownie point now.
have this whole-
Yeah, 3 halves. Okay, and so we got Regina. Regina has to be nominative because for first declension nouns, our endings are I, and Now I don't make you put that long mark, but it's there, and so that tells us This is not ablative, because if it were ablative, it would have a long word. I, arum, is, as, and is. So Regina has to be nominative, so it's the subject. And then we have nautis, and as we said earlier, that could be ablative plural or dative plural. We're going to guess dative because this word leads us to believe that it's dative, and in fact, it's this word that we get the word dative from.
I was about to say,
Yep,
isn't
it
that
is.
nice?
Yes. So the queen gives gifts to the sailors. But in this sentence, the dona comes first. And so the way you should read this sentence is from left to right. And as you read each word, think about what it means and also think about its case. So you're reading the sentence, dona, gifts. That's the first thing that comes first. You don't know when you read it if it's the subject or the direct object, but you know it's important. Gifts, dona. Then you get to the next word, Regina. Okay, that's nominative, that's the subject. Oh, well, dona must be the direct object then. So in your head, you're thinking, gifts, the queen. Oh, the queen's doing something to the gifts. So that's what you're thinking. Nautis. And then because you had dona, gifts, you're thinking nautis probably dated. The sailors are probably receiving gifts because gifts are given and receiving. So at this point, dona, Regina, nautis, and then the dot just kind of makes sense because at this point you should have a good idea what the sentence means. But the gifts in the sentence have a special emphasis. The gifts the queen gives to the sailors. She's not giving them money. She's not giving them food. She's giving them gifts. And you know that because the
That's
dona
the
comes
gift.
first.
You know
What's that?
What that's to get?
The money?
Yeah, what money is gonna be?
Well, then that's fine.
You know what would
Yeah,
suck
it's
if she was only giving the gifts to the sailors to take to someone else.
Oh, yeah, that would be sad.
Yeah.
Especially if you were one of the sailors.
Yeah, it'd be like, hey, look, you get a $500 present, but you get to
You have
take
to
it
go
to that
get it.
person over there.
That would be a bummer. Okay, well, unfortunately, I did not get through as much as I wanted to get through, but y'all need to take your quiz. So we'll stop discussing.